What's going on YouTube, Hypnotic Toad here, welcoming you back to our next deck profile on the channel. Today we're jumping into the lower tiers of the format and profiling one of my favorite decks that I've been using since I moved back from Florida and since I began playing again, Fluffals. Now I know Fluffals isn't one of the top tier decks, but it can definitely hold its own, and in today's episode we're going to be profiling this deck and talking about my choices versus other people's choices when they played this deck. To start off, we're playing with 3 of the Deneb of the deck, 3 Fluffal Dog. Fluffal Dog is pretty much, like I said, the Deneb of the deck. It can grab anything from any Fluffal monster, or it can grab the Edgem Sabers. So anything that you need at the time, it can grab it for you. You really want to see this in your opening hand, just because it'll help you open up your plays really quick. If you have a Wings in your hand, you can grab a Dog. If you have a Dog, you can grab a Wings, vice versa. And it really just speeds up the deck and allows you to keep on pushing through the deck, because you really want to burn through the deck as quickly as possible, especially in your first turn. That way you can get to the necessary pieces you need, that way you can OTK as quickly as possible. Next up, we're playing with 3 Fluffal Mouse. Now this card, when it is normal summon once per turn, you can special summon up to 2 Fluffal Mouse from your deck. It's not that good to see when it's in your hand if you open up with 2 of them, but either way it's going to be used for fusion summoning, so it doesn't really matter. It's really good, especially if you're running out of things to do and you're trying to solve for time. You can always normal summon this and then special summon 2 in defense, just so you have a little wall there that your opponent has to break through before they can get to your life points. But it's always a good card to see, especially if you have fusion or polymerization in hand as well as an Edgem Sabers, because you can always go into Wolf or Tiger. Next up, we are playing 2 Fluffal Bear. I know a lot of people are playing 3 now. I'm liking 2 still, just because it is searchable in the deck. I have multiple cards in here which we'll be going over that we can search with it. It's really good because it sets up your toy vendor plays, which we'll be explaining later. And along with that, we are playing the 2 Fluffal Wings, because that just helps set up the combos. You don't need 3 of them. I feel like 3 is cloggy, but 2 is just the perfect match. So we do 2 Bear and 2 Wings. Then we are doing 2 Fluffal Sheep. This card, when you control a Fluffal on your field, you can special summon this card, and then you can target 1 Fluffal on your field, bring it back to your hand or return it to your hand, and then special summon 1 Edgem from your grave. So it's really good if you really need to get that dog back in hand. You can normal dog, add sheep, return dog, and then special Edgem Chain or Edgem Sabers or anything you really need. That's an Edgem in the grave. And then finally, our last Fluffal of the deck is Fluffal Owl. When you normal special summon this card, you can add 1 polymerization to your hand from your deck, or you can pay life points and then use it as a polymerization instead. This card really works really well, especially if your opponent is able to get something on the field that doesn't allow you to use spells. So Anti-Spell Fragrance is one thing that comes to mind, as well as Nature Beast. So those cards are kind of a hindrance to this deck, I should say. So when you have those on the field, you can always summon this and then use its effect, paying life points, and use it as a polymerization instead. That way you can get rid of the Anti-Spell Fragrance or the Nature Beast. Moving on in the deck, we are playing 3 King of the Swamp. This card is amazing in the deck, and I think this is what one of the cards actually makes this deck, along with Wings and Bear, because this card can be substituted for any fusion material, as well as you can discard it to add polymerization to your hand from your deck. So there's just so many different things you can do with this, especially once it's in the grave. You can still use it, so you can use your Fright for Fusions to banish this instead of your Saber, so you can continue to use that in the grave, and you can still go off with your plays. You're playing 2 Edgem Sabers. I feel like 3 would be cloggy, 2 is just the right amount. Pretty much like a Plague Sprayer Zombie, where you can put 1 card in your hand to the top of the deck and special summon this from the grave. But you can keep doing this as many times as you want. I believe it's once per turn. Yeah, it's once per turn, but you can continue to do it throughout the duel as many times as you really need to. So, it doesn't really matter if it's in your grave or in your hand. Then we are playing 2 Edgem Chain. A lot of people are playing 3 of this now, just because it does allow you to add Fright for Fusion in your hand. But I'm just liking it too. I feel like you don't really need more than that. There are some times where I'll go without seeing this and it's kind of bad for me, but at the same time, if I don't see it, I don't see it. It's fine. I can always use the King of the Swamp instead. Now the final 3 of my monsters that I'm playing are a little bit different than everybody else is playing. I'm playing 2 Summoner Monk. Now this is because I'm playing a lot of spells in this deck, and there are some times where I can't really get rid of something on the field, whether it be a Beelz, where you can't destroy it by card effect or by battle. So you can always use Summoner Monk, ditch one of your spells, maybe a Toy Vendor, and then you can special summon Chain or Dog, or either the other Summoner Monk and you can go ahead and make a Castell, you can make a 101, you can make number 66. There's just a lot of things you can make with this that a lot of people don't really use. A lot of people don't use it, and I just think that's a really good card that can still be used. Sometimes I'm thinking about siding it out. I sometimes do during my second and third match, or third battles, or third duels. But I just like it in here at 2, at least for the first duel, just because it's something that a lot of people don't use, so a lot of people don't really expect it. And the last monster that I use in my main deck is something that a lot of people definitely don't use, and that is 1 Archlord Christia. Now I use this because you can control your graveyard really well with this deck. All of your Fluffals are fairies, so your graveyard is full of fairies for you to use, and you can always control that by using your polymerizations and your Fright First, banishing a certain number, so you can get this card out, which will really stop your opponent from doing a lot of things. And if it's special summon that the usual way, then you can go ahead and grab one of your fairies back to your hand, or if you're using Toy Vendor and you grab a Fluffal from your hand, or if you draw Fluffal off your Toy Vendor, you can special summon this from your hand. So it just works really well. Moving on to your spells, we're playing 3 of one of the main cards of the deck, Toy Vendor. This card gets you going so quick with your wings and bear plays, which I'm going to go ahead and explain that now for you guys who don't actually know what this does. Now a lot of times what you'll see in your hand is you'll either have a bear or a wings, and you won't have a Toy Vendor. So you'll discard your Fluffal bear to the grave, allowing you to set your Toy Vendor. You'll then activate your Toy Vendor, discarding your wings to the grave. Drawing a card doesn't matter if it's a Fluffal or not at this point, because you do have your combo already set up, where you go ahead and target your wings and your bear using Fluffal Wings effect, banishing both of them, drawing a card, sending Toy Vendor to the grave, drawing another card, and then Toy Vendor's effect goes off as well. So that's just a really good way to plus really quick, and it just allows you to get through your deck and get your combos off, because if you have so much momentum going, it's really hard for your opponent to stop you. Moving right along, we are using 3 Fright for Fusion, one of the best fusions in the deck. You can use this from your grave. You banish the monsters from your field or grave to special summon the Fright for. So you usually use this to OTK along with either the 2 polymerizations we are using or the 2 dark fusions, because you'll dark fusion or polymerization for Tiger. Usually dark fusion is working best because you can't target or destroy your monster, your opponent can't. And then you go ahead and use the Fright for Fusion for Wolf. So you'll Tiger with dark fusion, special summon, destroy all their stuff with Tiger, then Fright for Fusion for Wolf. Now in the beginning of the video I did talk about how we only were running 2 bear because it is searchable. That is because I'm actually playing 2 fusion conscription, where you can reveal one of your fusion material monsters in your deck, or in your extra deck I should say. So you just reveal bear, and you can go ahead and either add bear or sabers to your hand, which is really good because sometimes you don't have those in your hand when you need them. So if you feel like if you have one of these and you have dog, you activate this, add bear, summon dog, add wings, and then there you go, you're good to go for your combo play with wings and Toy Vendor. The last 2 spells that we're playing in the main deck are 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, because we do want to stop some things that your opponent might set. Whether it be that one random set card that you don't know what it is, but you always don't want to go off and risk it being a warning or something along those lines. So we always do have these in here, and it also works well when we're going against anything that uses pendulums. Now we were playing 3 traps in the deck, and a lot of people play a certain card as a trap, and I play a completely different one. I'm actually playing 3 Royal Decree. Now this card works really well because you're trying to OTK here, and traps will really stop this deck. And so you just want to, if you go first, you want to set this card, let your opponent go, set their multiple traps or whatever, then their end phase will activate Royal Decree, and then your turn, you're free to do whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about whatever your opponent has set unless it's a spell. But at that point, if you're special summoning Tiger, you can destroy all their stuff anyway, and you're good to go. Now I am actually playing 3 of Fusion Reserve. That's the only one I actually want to see on the side deck. But I'm citing 3 of those just because when people see the Royal Decree in their in the main deck, and it slipped on them and it really hurts their deck, they'll usually side out their traps against me, and that's when I'll side in the Fusion Reserve and game 2 or game 3, and they're really surprised when they see it because they don't expect it because of Royal Decree. So works really well with that. Moving on to the extra deck, we are playing 2. Oh, wrong one. We're playing 2 Fright for Tiger, best card in the extra deck. When it's Fusion Summon, you can target up to the number of cards used for its Fusion Summon and destroy them. So that works really well for clearing out the field, as well as allowing you to set your OTK. It also does give 300 attack to each Fluffal, or each Frightfur for every Fluffal and Frightfur card on the field, so that can really boost up all your monsters. Next up, we are playing 2 Frightfur Sabretooth. This is a new card that just came out. If you fusion summon using 3 fusion summon materials, or fusion materials I should say, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. It also gives 400 attack to each Frightfur. So yet again, if you're getting this, as well as Tiger out, or if you use Tiger, pop all their stuff, and then fusion again with Fluffal and Tiger to bring out Sabretooth, you can use Sabretooth's effect to special summon Tiger, and then you're boosted by 1000. So it just works really well, and it boosts everything up, and it's really hard to stop that sort of thing, especially with all the momentum that's going on. Now to talk about the OTK real quick, we are playing 2 Wolf. I feel like 3 is too much, but what you do is you'd fusion summon for your Tiger, pop everything with Tiger's effect, so you'd summon a mouse, special summon 2 more mice, use Polymerization or Dark Fusion for Tiger, pop everything in their back row or on their field really, and then you'd Frightfur Fusion away the 3 mice and the Sabretooth for your Frightfur Wolf, because then it can attack for 4 times, and that's OTK right there. They can't stop it. Next up, we are playing something that really stops Cosmos, which if we didn't have this, it would be a really bad thing, and probably wouldn't be able to stand a chance against Cosmos, and that is Frightfur Sheep. It's pretty much like in Armades. When this thing attacks, you can't activate monster effects or spells or traps, so it works really well, as well as it has its own ability where if it gets destroyed, once per turn you can special summon it again, and it gains 800 attack. And this actually stays on in the monster, so say once turn you attack into, say, a Dark Destroyer, or anything like that, it'd be destroyed, you take 1000 damage, you come back at 28, well next turn if your opponent destroys him, he's going to get destroyed, but he's going to come back and he's going to gain another 800, so then you can just keep powering up and powering up to get over your opponent's monsters if you really need to. To finish up the fusion materials in the extra deck, we play 1 Frightfur Chimera, 1 Frightfur Leo in case we really need it, and 1 Frightfur Bear. Now the Bear is really there just for the fusion conscriptions, just so we can use those to add Bear to the hand. And then we play 4 Xyz in the deck. We're playing 1 Master Key Beetle, that's for the Summoner Monk to Summoner Monk or Summoner Monk to Chain play. And then we're also playing 1 number 101 Silent Honor Arc, 1 Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer. I never really use his full name. Those just really help get rid of hindrances that might be on the field that you can't destroy by battle or card effect, as long as you can still target them anyway. And then the final card that we play in the extra deck is 1 Photon Strike Bouncer. Now we use this because oftentimes we'll get 2 level 6s on the field at one time, and if we have level 6s on the field, we sometimes don't want to leave those because they might get destroyed. So if we get out monsters and they maybe stop our OTK and they have some little life points left with Tiger and Wolf, or even Bear, if we somehow bring it out or for some reason we bring it out, we can then just overlay them for our Photon Strike Bouncer and then dare to them to use a monster effect to burn themselves out of life points. But yes guys, that is the entire deck. 40 card main deck, 15 card extra deck, 15 card side, 3 of them being the Fusion Reserve. I do side these instead of maining them like I mentioned before. But that is all I've got for now guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give me 2 thumbs up because all your support is greatly appreciated, as well as if you feel like it, please click on one of the ads surrounding the video, whether it be on or next to the video, because clicking on those ads allow me to keep bringing content to you by bringing me some income so I can help pay for my rent, as well as all the money that I get from the channel goes right back into it. So thank you guys. Hope to see you guys next time. This is the Hypnotic Toad signing up for now. Peace out.